Welcome back to the ISO, the Assist program and series. I'm Yahya, and today I'm sitting down with the founder of ISO Institute, a mechanical engineer, a 6-time intern, Stanford research fellow, the brain behind it all, Anis Benyoucef.
Happy to be here, man. Thanks for the introduction. Definitely excited for you guys tuning in. Just ready to share some knowledge that I gained over the years, some deep knowledge about engineering field. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Anis, like you mentioned. Just graduated, and yeah, I'll show some of my resumes. I'll give you guys some real insider tips on how to be successful during your time as a mechanical engineering student, or just as an engineering student in general, student in college. From what I've learned through my past internship experiences. So,
Yeah. So today he's not just the host, he's actually the coach. And this is the real engineering playbook. So let's get into it. Before we get into all the technical stuff, what's one thing most engineering students get wrong from the start?
Most engineering students, what they get wrong is that they don't know what is available for them, like what kind of opportunities are available for them. They tend to maybe put themselves in a box. A lot of engineering jobs are like HVAC. They're different, like built like construction. A lot of mechanical engineers actually go into construction.
Yeah.
So a lot of the engineering students, they don't know that you can work in tech. You can work at these big tech companies. You can expand your reach, expand your range. You could work in Silicon Valley. You could work anywhere really where there is hardware. So anywhere there is consumer electronics is super important to understand. That way you don't limit yourself.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of engineering students, they limit themselves to maybe, like I said, those HVAC jobs, or automotive is a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
People they think mechanical engineer, you're a mechanic.
Yeah.
And of course, you learn a lot about how cars work and things like that. So it's super important for students to also understand that they could work in a variety of different companies, a variety of different fields. I think I do have another little note here as well. Oh yeah, grades alone do not make you successful. This is a huge, huge thing that a lot of engineering students need to understand, is that grades alone are not going to drive you to your end destination. A lot of students skip out on internships because they treat college like high school. Let me just get this 4.0, apply to my best school, and then like try to get in. And even nowadays in high school, you have to do extracurriculars, you have to do all this extra stuff, community building, being involved, volunteering. So a lot of students think that grades alone are really going to drive them to become successful. And there's a lot of kids who graduate 4.0s. They're brilliant, but they don't work on their communication skills. They don't work on their, community skills. Just like having interpersonal relationships is key to success anywhere in life.
Yeah.
So you could be the smartest, but they'll brush you off.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because I think to go back on that point of boxing yourself, like for me, just as a person who isn't a mechanical engineer, I just think either airplanes or cars. Really, that's about it.
Yeah.
But there is so much more, and like as I've gotten to know you over the years, you have ventured into a plethora of different industries. So make sure to avoid those for any future mechanical engineers.
Yep.
But I want to touch on your journey with your undergraduate degree. It did take you 6 years to finish.
Yep.
But there is a reason for that. So how did you keep going when things, weren't always, or when things weren't moving fast?
Yeah.
How did you keep yourself fixated on your goals?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think this goes back down to my answer before, is knowing what is actually available, the type of opportunities. And also, the reason I took longer is not because I failed a class. Luckily, I actually didn't fail any classes. I was able to finish my degree, got a good GPA, so it wasn't because I struggled, even though it was a hard degree.
Yeah.
It was because I intentionally chose to stay in college longer, because I don't go to a target school. A lot of these other schools like Boulder, like, even let's talk big, Stanford, Harvard, MIT, Georgia Tech, they have these employers going to their school recruiting for students. We don't have that,
Yeah.
And this as well. Like CU Denver is it doesn't have a lot of industry connections. So I had to make those opportunities myself, and it took longer, doing co-ops. A lot of students don't opt in for those. They don't choose to take a semester off. They don't decide that I'm gonna bet on myself, even though it might be uncomfortable, even though I see all my peers who graduated in 2024, because I graduated high school in 2020. I'm seeing everybody, quote unquote, ahead of me, they graduated, they get these new jobs, it's glamorous and whatnot, but it's just not equal because they may have came from different opportunities, they may have went to a different school. So I intentionally chose, and I think what helped me to keep going is the fact that I knew I was setting myself up for being the best candidate outside of college, like when I graduate, having the most potential, developing my skills, gaining real world knowledge was more valuable to me, in my opinion, than the actual theory. The theory helps you understand, but it doesn't get you to that goal, that finish line. So I was always hungry to get another opportunity. I was always hungry to learn more, and there was always something else to learn. So that kept me going through my 6 years. Definitely the last year I felt it a little bit drag, but this year, it flew by, and now I graduated, and I could look at my resume and feel proud. I could look back and say I didn't regret a thing. So that's what kept me going. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I guess we can get into, saying you didn't come from a conventional school or at least a big name school. A lot of people feel like they don't belong in some of these spaces, especially diverse people or people that aren't as well represented in these engineering spaces. We know the rhetoric or the stereotype of who is an engineer. So a lot of people feel like they don't belong. Imposter syndrome is real. Did you ever feel that along in your journey? And if so, how did you push through it?
Yeah. Imposter syndrome is one of those words that is definitely used a lot. It's definitely a relatable feeling that a lot of students go through. Even the top of the top students feel this way. I've learned to accept it rather than to reject it. Accepting imposter syndrome is a part of your journey. You're always going to feel like somebody is doing better than you because somebody is. There's always somebody who is smarter than you, more technically gifted than you, has the connections better than you. So of course, I walk into these spaces always feeling like there's somebody better than me. But I don't let that get me down. I let that fuel me. How can I get to their level? How can I build upon my skills? I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. I'm going to continue building. I'm going to continue working on my skills, try to get to that point. But it can cripple you because if you sit there, consistently feel sorry for yourself, I don't have the knowledge to do this, you're not speaking life into yourself. When you get to those spaces, especially as a minority, especially as a person of color, you're not going to feel as supported as maybe your peers or your colleagues. Naturally, there's just less of us, so there's not the support system. So another big key is getting a community around you who will speak life into your dreams, into your skills, who will encourage you, who will give you positive feedback. Those type of things will keep you going, and we were able to do that through NSBE. I was able to do that by getting people who are in a similar background as me, finding those community resources at work to try to upskill, to try to increase your networking at work as well is very important. So you have to accept imposter syndrome, but you can't let it destroy you. You can't let it cripple you. You can't let it paralyze you. You have to let it drive you and make you continue to work harder.
Absolutely. I have a question. This is a little bit off topic, but
that's all good.
Did you ever have like a rival? Did you ever see someone that was like, I could be better than this person? Maybe like I can produce more than them, or at least I can get the acknowledgement from whomever it may be. Did you ever have one of those, maybe one or two of those people?
That's a good question.
It could be healthy too. It's not like this is my enemy.
Yeah. Like a competition, healthy competition. Oh, man, that's a good question. At school, I guess there's two places where you're always surrounded by other people, school and work. Would you want me to give you maybe an example of both?
Sure.
I mean, in school, there was definitely, people around me, even the group that I used to study with, the people who I used to hang out with, and this wasn't out of envy or jealousy, it was more out of drive. Definitely those friends that were around me, bro, they were killing me as far as tests go. Like I would bomb every first test of mine, like a bad grade, maybe even the worst grade in the class. but I did not let it, like I said, I did not let it get me down. But I did feel that competitive drive. I'm seeing these other guys getting their B's and their A's and even their C's sometimes would make me feel like, do I even belong in this degree? So this goes back to the imposter syndrome too. So yeah, definitely there was people in that area. I was like, you know, maybe it's because I was not as technically, you know, I didn't have the technical aptitude or the, you know, scholastic aptitude, I guess you could say, as them. But I never really looked at anybody in a way that was like, you know, malicious, or it was never like I could be better than this person, because grades in school are very like personal. You know, a lot of people just keep it to themselves. Even professors, they don't really like highlight anybody. They're just like, bro, whoever passes my class passes. Some professors don't even know your name at the end of the semester. In terms of work, there's definitely times where, you know, other interns, you see how well they're doing. You see how gifted they are, and it just like, and you see how much their team almost brings them in as if they're a full-time employee. They're not treated as no intern or as a baby. I think that drove me a lot in my internships at Zoox, or where I had more interns around me. I felt like I had the work ethic, but maybe I just didn't present it in the most beautiful way that like maybe you know, my peers were, that made them get their flowers. So I can't specify any single person. That's a really good question. But there was people along the journey for sure who sharpened me because they were doing such big things. They were making me feel like, damn, I'm getting blown out the water right now. Like I need to catch up, because if you don't keep up, somebody else is gonna come take your spot. You know, it's just, that's life. You know, it's competitive. So there was definitely people. I can't pinpoint any specific ones off the top of my head, but yeah, just the people around me were pushing me.
That's good.
Great question though.
Healthy competition.
Absolutely. And a key thing, sorry to cut you off, a very key thing is success is a very subjective to the person, you know? Like you might see somebody getting their flowers, getting recognition and whatnot, and you see it as success, but they might not get a return offer. And you might get a return offer because you just work better with the team. Or you just have to accept sometimes that some things are not for you. For example, my Apple internship, there was people, I definitely feel like I had a lot of responsibility. I had a lot of ownership over my you know, project, and I was doing very well. I was trying my hardest. Was I the smartest? No. I was trying my hardest, and I didn't get a return offer. I'm not working. I'm still currently looking for a job. There's some people who did, who got the job offers, who came back, and that's their place, that's their position, that's what Allah has granted them, you know? Just because they granted them that does not mean I have to sit here and feel down about myself because of their success, you know what I mean? What if I went and got the job and I hated it? It was terrible for me. You never know until you're in that position. So whatever is right for you, whatever serves you, Allah will put in front of you, you know what I mean? So definitely want to make that a clear note, because you should never compare yourself to that extent to where you're like, I wish I could be in that position. Who says that position would be good for you? You know what I mean? So just a little extra reminder, you know?
No, thank you. Your mentality on a day-to-day basis, like what did you equip yourself with? How did that look like? Were you as intense and, you know, super fixated and focused on your, I guess, your mechanical engineering career, or what was the approach to that?
It's a good question. I think the mentality is competitive. Like I just always had a competitive nature to me, playing basketball, growing up, you know, with brothers who are older than you, who are just bullying you on the court or just bullying you in general. You see them, they're doing good things, and it's like that competitiveness, you know? Having that mentality, I think, has translated to everything that I do. You know, being the person who's very disciplined, you know, touching the line. Like when I was playing basketball, we're running our 16s, as what they call it, just going sideline to sideline. I know you remember that. Running our 16s, our 8s. But I was touching the line every single time, you know? I wasn't the one cheating. I wasn't cheating the drill. I was not going maybe a foot or two before the line. I was touching the line every single time. And my coach seen that in me, and I was a team captain at the time too, so leadership is a big thing. So yeah, that was my mentality, like touching the line every single time. That translated to all my engineering. I was always gonna go hard. I was always gonna be disciplined. I was gonna obsess over everything that I did. It kind of comes with a drawback though, because you also get bored quick. I'm the type of person, if I'm not feeling energetic by what I'm doing, or if it's not giving me energy, it's not pouring into me the way I feel like it should, or the expectations are below what I expected, I'm gonna naturally kind of get bored of it, and then I'm gonna end up just, you know, maybe not having as much discipline. So that's something I'm currently working on. I'm just keeping it 100% honest, you know. Something I definitely need to work on is just being disciplined in all, because there's gonna be parts of your job you hate.
Yeah.
So I have to be disciplined in every single aspect. But I think just the drive alone is what really pushed me.
Yeah, that grit.
I may have had another grit. Yeah, this is the main word I had on here. So
that grit.
yeah, you have to have a lot of grit. You have to get over rejection, you know? Like being able to tell yourself that this no is going to lead me to my next yes every single time, even if it takes long, that's going to keep you going, you know?
Yeah.
Understanding that rejection, you know, is very cliche. Rejection is not rejection, it's just redirection, you know, that's a big saying. It's very true, you know? Like I said, the best things might not be what you dream of. They might be something completely different. For example, when I started college, I didn't start with a dream to be a mechanical engineer. I started with a dream to be a diplomat. My life completely took a 180. I almost dropped out of school. So you just have to handle rejection, take it to the chin, and just keep going, you know? Because at the end of the day, you can sit there and sulk. You can sit there and feel bad for yourself. You can sit there and feel sorry and feel all these types of negative feelings. There's people working harder than you. You have to just keep that grit, that resistance, that perseverance. You have to stay resilient, you know what I mean? And so I think that's the mentality that I embodied.
Absolutely. Another thing you always say is closed mouths don't get fed. What does that mean in the context of engineering?
Great question. So a lot of students, this goes back to the 4.0, they just keep their heads in the books. They don't focus on building connections. They don't even focus on asking questions or asking people for help. If I want to be in a position that I see somebody else in, right? Who is the first person that's going to give me the most game about where they're at, how they got there? It's going to be them. So I have to put myself out there. I have to put myself, you know, I have to be comfortable getting uncomfortable with speaking to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was many times I was nervous, I was scared, I was shaking to go talk to somebody, to ask them for, I wouldn't go bluntly ask them for help, because like, you know, you have to make it natural. Sometimes you can't even force a relationship either. So you have to make sure it's natural, but you have to put yourself out there. You have to completely commit to being uncomfortable, even when it's, you know, it could yield a better result than you think. It's just in your head, the fear is what's stopping you.
Yeah.
So closed mouths don't get fed is something I live by. You're not gonna get spoon fed. Somebody's not gonna come bring a, you know, spoon to you. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. He might be in his office or he's on his way here. Down the hall. But yeah, you're not gonna get spoon fed, you know what I mean? You're not gonna get completely, like, somebody's not gonna pull you, you know, somebody's not gonna save you. Nobody's gonna save you in this degree. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to be your biggest advocate. What does that look like? It looks like making uncomfortable conversations, talking to people who you see yourself in their position. You go ask them questions. How did you get here?
Yeah.
What was it like? What was your struggles? Let them offer though. Let them offer to help. But you have to ask questions. You have to understand how they got to where they got. And you have to put yourself out there. And that's how closed mouths don't get fed. You ask questions and people will be willing to help you because they see that you're eager. They see that you're hungry and you're willing to learn. So yeah, closed mouths don't get fed. You have to go out there and basically hunt for it, you know? You got to hunt for it. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Nice. So let's get a little bit more into the community aspect of your journey, a little bit about networking. I know you mentioned that a lot. You keep mentioning community almost saved you.
Yeah.
Because you went and you know, didn't want to have a closed mouth. What does that actually look like practically for someone, you know, who's trying to break into engineering?
Yeah.
How does their community support them?
That's a great question. Finding who's going to push you, finding the environments that are going to challenge you, finding the environments that are going to ask you for more, that are going to demand from you. This is what I mean by community. This is the practical aspect. There's so many organizations out there. For example, us, we had Nesby. I seen how Nesby was shaping the people at CU Boulder, the students at CU Boulder, our friend Ahmed Ashmeig. He was the president at the time. Yeah, like they had so many abundance of opportunities. Everybody was working so hard towards their goal.
Yeah.
when you surround yourself around those people, you're going to naturally be sharpened by them. You're going to naturally be more encouraged and more motivated to get work done, to do well. So what that looks like in engineering is finding a engineering club, finding people around you who are working hard, whether it's a friend, finding that person who's going to push you, who's going to expand your limit, who's going to expand your dreams, and kind of like what I was talking about in the beginning, who's going to expand your views on the degree. That's going to be the person you have to lean on, have to rely on. And community was huge. Like, if it wasn't for Nesby, I would not be here where I'm at today at all. It gave me the it gave me the platform. It gave me the opportunities. It gave me the resources, and it most importantly gave me the people to surround myself with, to really work hard, to sharpen myself, to push me. You know the saying, iron sharpens iron. You're around somebody who's going to sharpen you. That's going to push you to be even better. So Nesby it definitely saved me. I was floating my first year. I didn't know. I seen how it was doing impact at CU Boulder, and I was like, why can't we have that at CU Denver? I feel like I don't know what I'm doing with my degree. I only see my friend Ahmed, who's doing big things, my friend Denzel, who's doing big things. Those are the people who saved me, the community, Nesby, what we built, the chapter we had, going out to these conventions, seeing the driven young engineers, the driven young black engineers who are doing huge things. That can only motivate you.
Yeah. I think I can also attest to that because I work at a computer lab at the university, and then there's a group of young freshmen, all mechanical engineers, and they're probably in there 8 hours out of the day, almost every day of the week, just helping each other out. There's SolidWorks and CAD and all of those projects, those mechanical engineers do.
Yeah.
They're long and rigorous, and they're always, constantly there.
Yeah.
So those, students being there for each other, helping each other out, really is aiding them, because I can see them, they converse, they talk to each other about their ambitions and their goals and their passions, and they're getting work done.
Yeah.
So definitely you got to have, a good support group.
Yeah.
Good people, diverse people to give you different perspectives and, challenge you as well.
100%.
So
that's a really good point that you brought up, because I mostly talked about the extracurricular side.
Yeah.
Definitely having people in the actual degree with you who are going to build you. And it's actually really reassuring, and I'm happy to hear that people are actually in there spending their time to work on their skills, because we had our small groups and stuff, but I feel like with TikTok nowadays, with all this information and the abundance of opportunities that people are seeing online, people working in tech, people getting money, it motivated a lot of young people to start actually focusing. That's why a lot of these conventions are so dang crowded, bro. It's hard to get,
Every year it keeps growing.
Tens of thousands of people. And so it's good. Of course, it comes in more competition, but I'm happy to hear that people are sharpening themselves in the classroom, because that matters too. So it goes back to what I said. Whenever I'd fail a test and I see my bros doing amazing, it makes me want to be like them, and we all just share each other's knowledge, bounce off each other, get ideas and stuff. So it's a great shout. Yeah.
Absolutely. Another question that we have is, how do you find the right people to learn from when you don't have any connections, that you're pretty fresh, or you're a freshman in college, you haven't met anyone yet? Who do you know who to go to and who not to?
That's a really good question. The best piece of advice I received, and this is going to lead into my answer, too much advice it could ruin you, So this is a very good question, because you have to be incredibly intentional about who you're getting advice from, how much advice you're getting from different areas, different people. They might be telling you, come pull this way. You're being pulled in all different directions, So it's so important to, number one, establish kind of your values, Establish what type of person do you want to be? What type of person would you want to help you? And what type of person do you want to be when you're up there to help others? That naturally will help you kind of understand the type of person that you want to help you. I don't know if that made any sense, but you have this set of values that really grounds you, and you're not just asking anybody, because like I said, some people give you terrible advice, Some people might tell you do this and do that, and you're like, that goes against what I stand for, or that goes against, what I want to do, you know what I mean? So that's number one, just setting that as the precedent. And I think I did have something else in here that I want to just remind myself of. Yeah, okay. So as a freshman, you're going to come in, and you're not going to know anybody. You're not going to know who's around, who's available. But you have to look at your direct proximity before maybe going outside. So look at the people who are doing very good in your degree, whether it's upperclassmen. And you can meet these people through job board, or not job boards. You can meet these people through, events, maybe by going to the upper level classes sometimes. Like, you have to just be tenacious. You have to be, do extra. You have to go the extra mile to find those people. So find the people in your alumni network or who graduated from your school or who are doing well in the upperclassmen and stuff like that, who you can, find those high performing people and just ask them questions, try to connect with them, try to network with them. Half the time, 3/4 of the time, people are willing to help you. You just have to find that person by doing what? Talking to multiple people. You can only, what is the saying? You shoot 100, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
So if you're taking 0 shots,
You're not gonna
talking to people, you're not making nothing.
Yeah.
You have no outreach. You have no network. Bro, just shoot your shot. Talk to many people. Talk to as many people. You're gonna end up finding one that kind of fits that value base that I was touching on earlier. So you have to be able to shoot your shot and just get uncomfortable going out there. And this is really tough for a lot of engineering students. They're very to themselves. The typical stereotype of an engineering student is antisocial, doesn't know how to communicate. But how do you grow from that? By putting yourself in the position, not letting fear dictate your actions, but actually going out and doing the thing that scares you the most, because behind that is going to be results and success that you never could have imagined. So you have to be just putting yourself out there. And then if that works, you're going to naturally, your branch is going to kind of, you're going to kind of just expand. So your network is going to grow. He or she might connect you with somebody else that they know. And then you might find out, oh, there's a club that, for example, Nesby, there's a DU chapter, there's a CU Boulder chapter. Maybe you guys have a joint collaborative event. You join these clubs, start networking with people. Then you find high achieving people at the top school in your state. For example, Ahmed Ashmeg, the guy was amazing. He's an incredible guy. He helped me so much early in my career. I was bugging him. I was asking him so many questions. I was the annoying guy, And so locating those people takes effort. But once you locate them, you just keep expanding. Your opportunities keep expanding. Everything keeps just growing.
Absolutely. How are we doing on time?
We're doing pretty good. We got 25 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
How do you approach someone you want to learn from without it feeling transactional or awkward, and you have genuine, belief that you want to establish this connection, but you don't want it to come off weird?
Yeah, that's a good question. Know the place and time. This is very important. I think this is just a social thing too. Knowing the place and time of who to ask, what to talk about. For example, if there is a networking event, this is marketed as a networking event. You're gonna go in there. Most people are in there just to transact, get connections and build their network up, and ask what do you do and whatnot, and then maybe find a genuine connection in that group. But you're not. Most of the time at those networking, I personally don't like them as much because it does feel very transactional. You're not gonna really. The population or the pool of people that you're talking to, you might not connect with them as much just because it's so transactional. So knowing the time and the place versus, let's say a club event or something that's more engaging and fun and brings out your personality, brings out each other's personalities, that's where you could really establish a genuine connection. And then you don't go in straight asking, can you check my resume?
Yeah.
Can you add me on LinkedIn or give me some tip? No, don't. Just slow down, be yourself, talk to the person, just communicate with them as if they're humans, because everybody at the end of the day wants to be treated like they're a human. So what do you usually do when you meet somebody new? Hey, what's good? How you doing? Good, blah, blah, blah. Get into small talk, maybe talk about basketball, try to find a relation, something that relates you guys.
Yeah.
And then finally you start asking those questions. But always, my rule of thumb is let the person offer help. Do not ask in a way that's very berating, or maybe after some time that you guys have built the connection, you can start asking. But at first, off rip, always let them offer first. And I have a real life experience from this. I don't like asking people directly off rip for help. But I went, for example, it was Nesby Regional Conference in LA, 2023, I believe.
Yeah.
Or 2022. It might have been 2022.
2022,
yeah.
Maybe.
Our friend Adil, he recommended Betty, the lady that worked at Stanford at the time, and she was a part of the admissions committee.
Yeah.
And so she was at the event. She went, and there was like a hospitality suite, and I had recommended. He was like, "Yo, you should go talk to her. She's a great person, great connect." Because I think they sat at a table in a previous and they started talking. He was like, "Yo, Anis, I think that would be a great connection for you." I didn't sit there and like be like, "Oh yeah, that could be good," and then not approach and take action. I went to the hospitality suite. I ended up finding her at that specific. It was the Chevron Hospitality Suite or something. I remember this so vividly. You know, I was sweating. I was hot. I was nervous, bro. My hands were shaking. Like I was so nervous because I don't really cold approach people, and like I'm not the most. I feel like over the years I've grown a lot in my social sphere and whatnot. But I was never the type of person to just go approach somebody. The room was hot. It was congested. You know, I still took the chance. I said, you know what, I'm gonna go talk to her. So I went. We struck up a conversation. I'm just asking her questions about the Stanford research program that she was like promoting throughout the whole event. Asking her questions, we started talking about just other things. You know, it didn't even start off like. Of course, I started it as like, oh, I heard about you, my friend Adil. Always name drop people too. That's a key little gem right there, bro. If you know somebody who like connected you with somebody and like the mutual connection is there, bro, name drop them, bro. Half the time they're gonna warm up to you a little bit.
To be like, oh, you know him?
Exactly.
Oh, you know her?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like name drop, and then so I did that. I was like, yeah, Adil told me about you, blah blah blah. I started asking her. I was like, oh, so you're the Stanford like research, or you work at Stanford, this and that. I didn't go and start asking her directly about the research program. I started asking her about, oh, what do you do? Okay, that's what's up. Are you from California? Like, do you know, just small talk. And then she started asking me about myself, and we just started going back and forth, and it became a great conversation. It was like maybe 20, 25 minutes. She's the one that literally offered, or we connected on LinkedIn and stuff like that. She offered to like support me, to help me after a 20-minute conversation. So this shows you a bunch of things, right? Number one, putting yourself out there will connect you with the right people. Asking questions in a genuine fashion, not to try to extract some, just getting information, understanding is gonna help you. People who just see something in you are gonna help you. They're gonna support you. And for whatever reason, she saw something in me. She wanted to help me. She was like, yo, you'd be a great fit for this. I will write you a letter of recommendation. She asked. I didn't ask for nothing. You know, I'm not gonna go sit there and ask her for a letter of rec. That would be awkward. She asked me. I said, that would be incredible. I would love to. I'll follow up with you. The next thing is to follow up. You always got to follow up. So I followed up with her. And then boom, the rest is history, bro. I ended up getting the Stanford research opportunity because of that. So that was just a little anecdotal experience of that question. I know that it might have been a long answer, but I just want to give the full game because people could extract gems from this. So
absolutely, being genuine and trying to establish a real connection. Let's see. What role did Nesby play in your journey? I know you mentioned it a few times now. Why should engineering students be in some of those spaces in those organizations?
Yeah, man. I mean, you already know, like, the journey that we went through Nesby. Nesby did not exist at UW Denver before the year that we kicked it off. Bro, that changed our lives. Like I'm sure you could even attest to it. Just being around that type of community, seeing people who look like you, come from the same background as you, who are pushing each other, so invaluable, man. Like you have to. That's the whole point of ISO. That's the whole point of the assist as well, is to bring people from our local communities on platforms like this, so that people could realize and recognize themselves in that person and be like, wow, I could achieve that. So that's what Nesby was. It was that space that you could really understand, like people really are there to help you. You know what I mean? So just the events that we had, man, the fun that we had, the network, the connections, the people just coming and joining us, even from different degrees. There was people from biology, chemistry, other STEM fields who are joining us in these events who just made it so fun. We connected with people. It just drove us so much to just keep growing and do better. Bro, these spaces are invaluable, like if you're not putting yourself in those spaces, you are missing out big time. You know what I mean? And I think I have a few extra gems in here that I didn't.
When I went to some of these conventions and regional and national, like I didn't know there were that many Black engineer students who wanted to be in those spaces. Like for me, like in my computer science courses, like you'd see one or two one-off Black individuals, maybe like SHIP, like there's not that many,
Hispanics in engineering,
so just to go there and be exposed to that was really valuable to me.
Yeah, 100%. And we met some of the best people there. You know, like the connections that I have across the country is because of Nesby.
Yeah.
Like, it genuinely would not be. I could go to a lot of states now and say I know somebody, I'm connected with somebody because of Nesby. So it's not even from a academic, professional standpoint to get you to jobs. You're like, we genuinely made friendships. I made so many friendships through Nesby, and like there's SHIP, like you said. There's a Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers. There's so many of these like minority-based groups. Even aside from minority-based groups, there's other professional type of like groups. The American Society of Mechanical Engineers, American Society of Civil Engineers. There is Management Leadership for Tomorrow. There's more computer science. There's Color Stack. There's all these like different organizations that some of them are just more technical. Like there's the robotics club. There's all these different clubs, you know? So it doesn't have to be necessarily like a racial thing or like, you know, based off ethnicity and whatnot. But it could just be because you guys have a shared passion. And you can make so many friends. There's so many conventions. There's so many conferences. And we met, we won the Black at Hardware Scholarship.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We won the Black at Hardware Scholarship video for Apple. So that was amazing. We got to connect with Apple engineers. We got to make friends. Shout out to Evan Moss, LaQuavius Thomas, like these people who are continuously supporting me to this day. So it's not that I just built a small connection. It's people who are riding for me to this day, you know? So that's the value of those type of organizations.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure, like I said, you feel the same way. So yeah.
For those engineering students, don't be too shy to go, you know, see who's out there, see what friends you can make. I guess, what's the difference between networking professionally, you know, and actually building a real relationship with an individual?
Good question. Networking is more about expanding your professional reach for career-related opportunity or motivation. So when you network with somebody, you're kind of seeking out maybe advice on your career or how you could grow professionally. Genuine connection is just a friendship, you know? You're not looking to extract anything out of these people. It's just genuine looking out for each other. You know, the vibes are on point. You guys are, you know, become friends, you know? You just, there's not really much you're expecting out of these people aside from a good friendship, a support system, you know, somebody who you could rely on, who you could lean on. Excuse me. Networking is more just superficial in a sense, you know, it's in my opinion. That doesn't mean you can't meet great friends networking and vice versa. Like you can create a best friend and then he ends up being, or she ends up being the biggest support or the biggest professional support. So, you know, it just depends on the pool of people you're around. Like I said, networking is typically more associated with the transactional, you know, opportunistic mentality versus, you know, real relationship building is more authentic.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Let's talk resumes now. You know, over the years, you've developed your resume. I'm sure most of us didn't know what a resume was until we got to, you know, college and stuff like that. What is a resume that actually gets looked at versus one that gets ignored based off of your experience?
A resume that gets looked at nowadays, well, first I'll get into that. So a resume that gets looked at, it's something that a recruiter is looking at your resume for 6 seconds, 7 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. You have to be very explicit in what you delivered, what you contributed, what you built, the impact you made. And how do you do that? You do that by being very focused and intentional about, you know, there's the STAR method: situation, task, action, and result, and then quantifying your impact. Because at a glance, you look at a number that's going to pop out to you versus, I built this. Like, what does that mean? You know? So resumes that get ignored are the ones that are just generic. Matter of fact, let's show an example of a resume that used to get ignored, right? So I have examples of my professional resumes, starting from my very first resume when I started college to my last resume. So this is my first ever resume when I joined college, and keep in mind it was a different degree. But let me walk you guys through this real quick and show you how bad this is. So first, hello, my name is Anis Benyoucef. Oh, and then skills, like I just put this blurb, like nobody's reading that, Can speak, read, and write Arabic. Yeah, I'm dependable and organized. I could be lying. I could just be chatting.
Yeah.
I have very good communication skills and not only could talk to anyone, but also actively listen. Bar, right? So nobody is really reading this. This is obviously my first resume. Straight, like this shows that there's levels to this. This is my first resume. I didn't have no professional support, professional development. Like this is not available in a lot of our communities. We're first gen. We're the first ones navigating all this resume stuff. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this is just pitiful. But looking back at it, it's just so funny. So we have experience, Target Corp. I worked at Target.
Got some refereeing in there.
Yep, I got some refereeing. Yeah, so I was a general merchandise, sales floor expert, whatever. Referee. I didn't even complete it because I did this for an assignment. I didn't even do this because I wanted to. I just did it because I had a grade attached to it. And so I just made this pretty terrible resume. And so it's not good, obviously. And there's some people who still have resumes like this. They still think that they could make these blurbs. They could just do random, just randomness, what I mean? So this is my first resume. This is what a resume should not look like. Hopefully people are not doing this anymore. I think there's so many resources. This is, there's ChatGPT, there's all types of stuff. So, this is just what you shouldn't do for your resume.
And even if your first resume looks like this, you at least know there's so much more to grow, and we'll show that eventually.
Yeah, most definitely. But just quantify everything. I want to make sure I touch on the points. But yeah, I mean, this was a resume that got ignored a lot, but you just got to sell yourself with AI. Your resume could be so good. Also, there's the point of professional, you have to build a brand around yourself. This is so important nowadays. You have AI, which makes every resume look the same, These type of resumes might not even exist anymore. Every resume now is incredible. You read it and you're like, wow, this is good,
Yeah.
But because it's so polished, it's AI slop, what they call it, People are just pumping their resumes in. So you have to start building a brand around yourself. Do you have a portfolio attached to your resume? You know what I mean? What could you show that you have actually done versus just on paper? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the answer to that question.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I had one similar to this, bro. I worked at Starbucks. Just a whole bunch of randomness.
A whole bunch of randomness, yeah.
But
you got to start somewhere, though.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, it's terrible, but you start somewhere. So yeah.
It's encouraging to know we all had a start like this.
Yeah.
And you'll eventually climb.
Exactly.
But getting into that, for those who don't have much on their resume, how do you build a resume when you don't have experience yet?
Good question. We could actually go to my second resume. The second one, it actually shows a little bit more about, this one.
This one?
So this is what I got. This is my first, pretty semi-decent resume, right?
Yeah.
This one is much better than my last one. I finally got a template, and this is shout out to Ahmed Ishmael too. He's the one that literally put me on game for all this. I didn't have much experience relevant to what I was doing, right? I worked as a freelance photographer. You can scroll down a little bit as well. Yeah, so this is my experience, right? Freelance photographer, Target sales floor expert, event setup expert. I had no technical experience, This was my going into my sophomore summer after my sophomore year. So my biggest piece of advice is put what you're doing. You're being busy, you're working on your skills, even if it's soft skills. I learned a lot working at Target, being personable, talking to people. Even the event setup, you learn certain skills and expertise in areas that you wouldn't really imagine. But the biggest thing I would recommend for especially students nowadays is the amount of projects that are available for you out there. I know hardware is a little bit more tough. There's computer science, there's so many software projects you could work on.
Yeah.
Hardware is a little bit harder, but you can, for example, 3D print a project, make it look cool. Do some research on, some of your mechanical engineering fundamentals. How did you implement actual engineering into your project? And so I do have one project on here if you scroll up. My final project was my lightsaber CAD project. This is the worst bullet point ever. It doesn't even show anything. What did I actually do?
Yeah.
So this resume, like I said, there's levels to this. This resume is not even that good in terms of, but I was fortunate enough to get my first internship because of this resume, because my friend Abdullah, who I met at the masjid, shout out to Abdullah Miller, by the way, he referred me. So it just shows that referral has the most pull in the game, to be honest with you. So try to get to know people, focus on your networking, build your resume up, do those projects, but put the experience on there. I think it's so important to at least highlight what you have done, and then just build a project on the side. You're not going to be perfect. It's even hard to get an internship. I'm blessed. I was very blessed and grateful. I'm very grateful to have gotten an internship. So there's levels to it. It starts somewhere, but definitely get your experience on there.
Yeah. I want to add to that as well. Just there are work study opportunities at universities all the time.
Yeah.
There's research opportunities. There's things personally you could do online, just like how you mentioned, to just add sections to your resume. It doesn't have to be all at once. I know I personally ran into the problem of I don't have anything. Let me just add a whole bunch of fluff and some that I may not even know. But be intentional with what you want out of your resume, what you actually have a passion and interest in, and then just build those section by section.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have something like this because it landed you an internship.
It got me to the first. Once you get your foot in the door, it's up from there. You know what I mean? So we'll even talk about my resume after, and we'll get to those. But great piece of advice.
I see you have a few times you mentioned your GPA. How important are GPA and grades really?
Yeah. Good question. So I know I mentioned your grade is not everything, but it is something. Most definitely. You know what I mean? Grades are definitely important if you're looking for those upper echelon companies, such as, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft. I mean, all the FANG companies, mechanical engineers could work there. So if you're targeting SpaceX, Boeing, like any companies you're building stuff that it impacts real lives, they're going to expect you to have a strong engineering fundamentals. So keeping your GPA above a 3.5 is the rule of thumb.
Okay.
You could get away with 3.4, 3.3 if you have good internships and whatnot, but 3.5 is definitely the rule of thumb. Do not slack in your academics. I for one, somehow managed to balance NSBE, and I almost put more into NSBE at certain times in my career than I did, and like my extracurriculars, than I did my actual grades.
Yeah.
Somehow managed to get through. But that's not the case for a lot of people. I know a lot of people struggled in class. Put the extra hours in, focus on your degree. At the end of the day, you need that diploma. So grades are absolutely important. And if you want to aim for those upper echelon companies, get paid very well, you're high performing, keep above a 3.5.
Absolutely.
All right, we're back. Just a small little technical difficulty, but we're good. So I do want to show actually a few more resumes just because I feel like people could find value out of it.
Yeah.
So we could go to, let's see, what's the next resume? My next resume is this one. Yeah. So this is my resume that landed me my Stanford research fellowship and my first Zoox internship, the quality internship.
Yeah.
So as you can see, just off rip, how much improvement I'm making throughout these resumes, iterating on it, obsessing over it. Like I didn't stop at one and just settle.
Yeah.
I kept pushing. I kept going. So you can see now I have like relevant coursework, which at the time was pretty important because I was early in my career. They want to see that I finished important classes like statics, thermodynamics, etc. I have now skills listed on my resume: SolidWorks, Fusion, Excel. Just important things for the actual engineering that you're doing. But then I not only put the skills, but I back them up in my experience.
Yeah.
So my first internship, now I'm quantifying things, 50% efficiency. I'm using acronyms. I'm saying lessons learned. I'm using like quality jargon and things that actually pop out on the page, And even now I would recommend people to bold certain words that really show their impact. So if it was me now, I would bold like maybe 50% or like lessons learned, like, small things like this.
Yeah.
But this is like,
Addressed,
levels above the last one, And this is just what I did, and this is another piece of, a game that I want to give to people. I took my resume, while I was even interning at Hewitt, took my resume, I would put it in Reddit. There's a Reddit mechanical engineering subforum.
Yeah.
Bro, they'll grill your resume, bro. Like they'll shred it to pieces. This sucks, do this, do this. And like I said, all advice is not good advice, especially resumes. You're gonna get advice left and right. Like people are gonna be spamming you about certain things. So you have to know what to choose. At that point, you just have to have a little bit of judgment of your own.
Yeah.
Should I put this, should I not? So I would go and put my resume in mechanical engineering subreddit because I was that obsessed, bro. I wanted to be so good. Another thing, students who don't have an internship yet, research.
Yeah.
you know why I got my research fellowship? Because even though it wasn't a requirement, I had a little bit of research under my belt. I ended up stopping the research. I didn't go forward with it. It was something I wasn't very interested in. But I cold emailed the professor over the summer. I said, yo, I like what you're doing. Can I be your undergraduate research assistant? Boom. And then you just come up with ended up not going through with it, but yeah, do some research, reach out to a professor. And then just, again, projects. They were carrying a lot of weight. I had 3 projects on there. I was starting to use a little bit more technical jargon, GD&T, different things like that, you know. Still had the lightsaber. I had this other, class project as well. And then at the time, leadership and extracurricular it carried a lot of weight, you know. Nowadays, not as much, just because of Trump and the whole administration, and they're trying to cancel, DEI and all this stuff, which is just terrible. But at the time, if you're a co-founder and president, and it's still a big deal, don't get me wrong. Like, this stuff is important. You're literally building your skills. You know what it takes to be a president. It's not easy. So this was carrying a lot of weight at the time. I was always getting asked about that in interviews. So this is my my resume that got me my second and third internship.
So would you say this was a really successful resume? Like, you were not just those 2 that you mentioned, but were you landing other opportunities? Were people, reaching out to you and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. At the time, I was getting more interviews. With this resume, I was able to secure a Tesla internship. I mean, not my fault, not Tesla, Toyota. It was at the NSBE conference. Yeah. I ended up not going with that one because I got a Zoox offer instead. So I ended up, just not accepting that, and I accepted the Zoox one. But yeah, it was landing me good stuff. It was definitely showing recruiters I was serious and I was getting good opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure to stay on top of it.
No, 100%.
Should we move on to this
next one? Yeah, let's do this next one. I think this is I switched my resume up a little bit after this, but.
So this has Zoox, Stanford, Keyway.
This was at this point I was balling, like 3 internships, a couple of projects. I was, the president emeritus. Like, at the time I was not as involved in NSBE because I had to take a semester off, but I still had a few projects on here. You just see every single time it's just getting more dense. It's getting more numbers based. It's getting more it's just progressive. It's progressive improvement. It's super important. So at this point, this landed me my second Zoox internship. So the one over the summer. This was the resume. Obviously, I already had experience at Zoox. And now I'm up there with the big dogs. I was in Fremont, California. I was in Stanford. I mean, I'm kind of catching up, not catching up, but I'm getting those opportunities that I really worked hard for,
And you weren't afraid to take the co-op over the fall, pause your academic at least a little bit. I don't know if you're still a part-time student. But
I actually was.
For the ones that maybe a little bit on the fence about should I take some time off from school to pursue some experience, it paid off for him.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. I think that was so valuable. And I was obviously nervous, but again, it goes back to who's around you. Ahmed Ashmeg took a semester off to do an internship. So he was my biggest inspiration. I was just seeing what he was doing. Clearly it was working. If what he's doing, playbook he has is working, I'm going to follow it, you know? So I followed the playbook. I took that semester off, took the chance on myself. And now it's led me to my current resume, which we could highlight real quick.
Okay.
And now we could zoom out a little bit, just show a big glance of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I changed up the vibe a little bit. I went with something with more color. But this is my current resume. So now I did an Apple internship. So that previous one, it was actually during the summer of 2024 that Apple reached back out to me to interview with the Apple product design team. So they had an old resume on file actually, which was kind of funny because I did interview with them before and I didn't get the offer. So again, stay persistent, stay resilient. I didn't get the first Apple offer, but I got the second one. And so now, I got Apple under my belt. I interned last year. I'm currently an intern at Signify. I got Zoox, I got Stanford fellowship. I removed the projects because now it's just, I've done real work. I had real users. I did real things. So I got my impact here. I still want to keep NSBE. I got a little summary of my qualifications.
Nice.
I highlight keywords, bold keywords. And it's still improving. I don't have the perfect resume. It's always going to just keep getting better, So as of this point, I'm still looking for a full-time job too. So this resume, maybe it's the resume. Maybe I got to go fix something. Maybe you never know. The job market is tough right now, but this is what I currently have. I mean, just overall levels to it. Like I said, going from the first one to the last one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been incredible.
Absolutely.
I know we're a little bit over time. I don't want to maybe go too far over. There's so much more I could cover.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
This journey has been so blessed and so fulfilling and so full of experiences. This is what the ISO Assist platform is about. ISO is here to uplift, highlight, and show the talent that's in your community. And so that's what I'm doing with the Assist today. And shout out my man Yahya for moderating. But I'm just a small example. I haven't done it all. Like I said, I'm still looking for a full-time job. I'm still trying to build my resume up. I'm still trying to build my skills. But there's people who are incredible in every single community doing very big things. And this is the platform where they can sit in front of their TV and give you real game, give you real advice, give you real, no gatekeeping anymore, you know what I mean? Everybody wants to talk about AI productivity tools and how AI is gonna help you and support you. No, you need this one-on-one. You need this ISO right here, you know what I mean? So you call that ISO against the person who you wanna be like. Challenge them, they're gonna challenge you back. You're gonna grow because of it. And this is what the Assist is about. Highlighting people in our communities. We have so much more coming. Next week is gonna be a banger episode. We got the week after that. We got the whole 6 archetypes, the whole 6 pathways for season 1 coming through. So I know Yahya is excited about it.
Absolutely.
I know we're all excited about it. So shout out to everybody tuning in. Make sure you drop a subscription, follow the IG. Make sure you're following us on all of our social medias. And ISO is here to stay, is here to grow, and it's gonna just keep going. And so, yeah, there's so much more I could talk about, like technical interviews, preparing your mechanical engineering fundamentals. But unfortunately, time has restricted us today.
Yeah.
But I'm just grateful to share all my experiences. So appreciate you moderating, bro.
Yeah. Thank you for having us, Anis. And stay tuned. The Assist will continue every Sunday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I think next week will be a really valuable one. And we'll cover over all the engineering topics. I mean, the pathways. This was engineering. If you have any questions, drop them down below. We'd love to answer if anyone is live right now and would love to give an answer or a question, I should say.
Is there anybody on right now? No questions? We should probably make an anonymous question bank in the future. Oh, true that.
Yeah,
okay.
Might have to give us some time to.
Yeah, I know we started a little late, so we're good. That was a full hour. Join the wait list on the website at the ISO Institute. And yeah, man, we're very grateful for this. Yeah, appreciate you, my guy.
Thank you so much, man.
Good looks, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. All right, signing out.